Depression is harder for smart people, and that's not the pain of having a bigger brain, although I know that it certainly feels that way. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that depression is something that you are just predisposed to. It's genetic, it's something that runs in the family, and thereby you're going to have to use the psychiatric approach, aka drugs, to solve this problem for yourself. Now, the point of this video is not to try to debunk psychiatrics or say that using substances is not an effective solution, because for you it very well might be. Substances like SSRIs can help you create the balance that then you use lifestyle tools like we're going to talk about in this video to rocket launch. However, every single one of us has probably multiple examples of somebody that tried to use drugs in their life to overcome depression or overcome anxiety and did not find relief, and in fact might have even found that they are deeper into their state of mental illness than they were before. We have to acknowledge that mental health is a physical health problem. That's right, mental health is a result of physical issues. I'll have another video coming out in the future about dopamine dependency and how to overcome dopamine dependency, but in this 21st century experience that we exist in, our dopamine, our serotonin, our pleasure hormones are being hijacked left and right by all kinds of external stimuli. Social media, cannabis, porn, alcohol, all of these things are instant gratification feedback mechanisms. And once we build a reliance on external feedback mechanisms for that pleasure, it's really hard for us to have 100% control over our positive feedback hormones. It's more difficult to focus. It's more difficult for us to release from the thought patterns and engage with the positive physical habits that are actually going to help us control these hormones for ourselves. This is why depression can be harder for people that are more intellectual, that have higher IQ, that are more thoughtful, more considerate, whatever you want to call it. And that's because we as humans are conditioned to solve our problems with thinking. That's what we do, right? We think. But contrary to popular belief, mental illness is a physical issue. And it's not something that you're going to think your way out of. In his book, Letting Go, Dr. David Hawkins talks about how most of us are conditioned to try to wrestle with every single thought that comes our way. And we believe that when we are in difficult situations, especially things like depression or anxiety, that we are going to think our way out of it. There's going to be some major life revelation or some external come to Jesus moment that we go through that then allows us to move on from this negative thinking past that we are existing in. But Dr. Hawkins talks about how feelings manifest thoughts, right? Low energy, low dopamine in our bodies. These energy states are going to cause you to live out a particular experience trajectory. As long as you are in this feeling state, you are not going to be thinking in a positive light. You are not going to be thinking from a positive feeling state. And this is why if you are struggling with depression, it is of paramount importance that you figure out how to release from the thoughts and just focus on the feelings. Luckily, if you're able to accept this idea, it's a whole lot easier to start working on your problems because you just don't have to think nearly as much. All you have to do is start to prioritize the high energy physical habits. Let's just start with the most obvious stuff. The great spiritual teacher Thich Nhat Hanh said that when it comes to health and well-being, regular exercise is about as close to a magic potion as you can get. Exercise is raising your physical energy. It is bringing your body into a high energy state. If we look at this chart of vibration levels and the human experience, it's easier to understand that when your body is in a high energy state, you're going to naturally think more positively. You're going to naturally experience more positive emotions and thus subsequently more positive thoughts. Exercise releases endorphins, which are hormones produced in the brain that block the perception of pain and increase the feelings of well-being that you're going to experience during exercise. Now, the next major habit is eating, right? The way that you eat is going to dramatically influence the way that you feel. Whether you want to look at this from a spiritual perspective, understanding the vibration of food, or you want to stick with the science focusing on factors like the brain-gut connection, which essentially says that the health of your gut's microbiome is going to directly influence your mental health. What I recommend here is an action step. I recommend that you sit down and journal a little bit about what you're currently doing for exercise and what you believe the quality of your diet is right now. Just based on your intuition, see if there are steps that you can come up with for yourself that will allow you to increase the quality of these habits. Right now, your intuition already knows what you're doing, and if you believe it's effective, if you don't believe it's effective, and then a couple steps that you could take right now just based on what you already know that would make things a little bit more beneficial for you. So diet and exercise are the most obvious ones, but you don't have to overthink this, right? You're doing a lot of different activities in your life already that are bringing you into a flow state, that are bringing you into a positive state. And you just have to figure out how to prioritize those habits a little bit more effectively. Do you play an instrument? Does that bring you into a state of flow? Do you enjoy doing art or writing poetry? Do you enjoy going for walks in the woods or attending a local kickboxing class on a regular basis? The bottom line is our intuition knows right now what it is that we need to do to improve. However, there are just so many external stimuli stimuli in the form of social media, right? Pornography. Maybe you don't have a healthy relationship with video games, and you know that you need to release from these things, but the addiction factor is already so high. Now, the next video is going to be all about dopamine dependency and how to overcome dopamine dependency. And so hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell so you know when my videos come out and you can watch that video. But the nutshell strategy is that you just have to focus on replacing, right? Set the intention that you already know what's holding you back, right? You can set the intention with yourself that when you do those activities, you're going to start to fight that battle with yourself to remove those stimuli from your life and start to swap them out with positive ones that actually give you a genuine sense of accomplishment. There's a little thing called neuroplasticity, which luckily is a lifelong experience that we as humans go through that essentially says that the way that we program our brains can be reprogrammed. We are literally structuring our neural pathways with both positive and negative habits. If we carry out a habit on a regular enough basis, we start to build a dependency on that habit for neurofeedback, for those positive brain chemicals that we were talking about earlier. If you know that you've spent the last 20 years building a dependency on alcohol every time you experience frustration, you should expect that it's going to take a significant amount of time to rewire this programming for yourself. But honestly, how valuable would it be that every time you experienced frustration, you felt excited, you felt engaged as you go through the process of overcoming that challenge and succeeding on the other side, right? Receiving that accomplishment. Look, you know it's going to be worth it. And the struggle that you're experiencing right now as you're watching this video, as you're trying to quit these bad habits, this is because physiologically you have a dependency on this habit. You literally cannot feel good without this habit. It is going to take some time to rewire itself, and you are going to suffer in the meantime, but you can minimize that suffering by swapping out other positive habits. Eventually, you will notice that you are experiencing pleasure by doing these activities again. But you have to start by acknowledging that mental health is a physical health issue, right? And as long as you are remaining in a low vibrational state, a low energy state, you're never going to experience the high energy, the positive energy that you once did. Set the intention to notice whenever you're feeling this low energy, you are noticing the subsequent thoughts from that low energy. And rather than spending hours in this place of going over past traumas, going over all the things that you could, would, should have fixed, realize that these thoughts are simply coming from a low energy state, and there's no way you're going to think your way out of this. You have to change your physical energy, you have to get up, and you have to actually go do something that is going to raise your physical energy. Depression may be harder for smart people, but it doesn't have to be if you allow yourself to move into a state of action. So my friends, without further ado, I hope this video was helpful. Hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell so you know when my videos come out, and you can watch the dopamine dependency video that's on the way. There is a link below this video that you can use to sign up for a free coaching call with me. We'll talk about your goals, your challenges, and then together we will build a bridge to overcome that gap. Until next time, my friends, peace, namaste. I will talk to you later.